On the last day of jury selection, it was the defense's go at speaking with the potential jurors. They were down to 50 jurors total. Now, this is good to know for anybody who ever gets called for jury duty, okay? If at any point in time, when they have this mass amount of people and they're questioning them, if the juror prefers to answer in private, they can always request that when called upon. At this particular juror's time, when the question of domestic violence came into play, she said that she would rather answer in private. Yes, there are all kinds of legal terms for this process that I'm speaking of. However, I'm not an attorney, so I'm giving it to you in layman's terms. If you would like to go back and watch any of the jury selection process that we were able to capture, we have that on day 3 and 4, which is October the 16th and the 17th. The prosecution had already come in and asked their questions of the jurors, and each one of them was given their opportunity to explain their side of things. So, what they do is they'll ask a question. Have any of you guys ever been affected by this or that? And the jurors raise their paddles. And when they raise their paddles, the prosecution or the defense, who's ever doing the questioning at that point, can say, okay, can you tell me a little bit more about it? Or what was your circumstances in this question that you mentioned? And they can stand up in front of everybody and explain what their thing was. So I'll give you an example. On the first day that we were able to see jury selection, which was the 16th, it amazed me when the prosecution asked about how many people were affected by alcoholism in their families or friends or people around them. I mean, there was a ton of them. There was a ton of jurors that had it's sad how many people are affected by alcoholism. So that lasted a pretty long time because there were so many people getting, holding up their paddle and they'd explain it was my sister or it was my husband or I struggled with it or I struggle with it in my family. Somebody in my family struggles with it. And the prosecution did also ask about domestic violence. Okay. So then when the defense came up to ask their questions on Thursday afternoon, they got to the domestic violence portion and juror 13 said that she would explain in private if needed. She didn't want to talk about it in front of the other jurors. So here's an example of what it looks like. They had 50. This is a true jury selection sheet that we got from Sam on a totally different case. And because it's from a real case, I had to blur it out. But this kind of gives you an idea. You'll see each box represents one juror. And they each have a seat and they each have a juror number. And they go down the line, and the prosecution sheet looks the exact same as the sheet that's in front of the judge and in front of the defense. So when they're sitting down and talking about who they're going to keep and who they want to use their preemptive strike on, they're all looking at the same thing. Now they're at the final process of jury selection, and they're going to go down the line, juror 1, 2, 3, whoever's left, right? And they're going to offer up the option for either the defense or the prosecution to use a preemptive strike based upon the knowledge they have on this juror at this time. Before they can do this, however, they have to call in the few jurors, there was 4 of them on Thursday afternoon, that said, we would rather answer you in private than in front of the entire jury selection. So here is what happened when juror number 13 was called back in the room.
Let's remain standing and we'll bring in the juror in seat 13 wearing badge 2130. Y'all may be seated. Thank you. Juror number 13, good afternoon, ma'am. We just had some additional follow-up questions to ask of you. Mr. Henderson, you may proceed, sir. Yeah, podium's right here. Mr. Henderson, front center.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
I believe it was yesterday when it came up, but you said that you're going to be testifying in a case.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that correct?
Yes,
Could
sir.
you tell me what case that is?
It's a case, the state against my ex-husband for a domestic battery charge.
All right. Are you the alleged victim in that case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Due to the nature of this case and what you've heard in the questioning, do you think you can be fair and impartial?
I think so, yes.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel, what's your relationship with the state attorney's office now?
I don't have one.
Okay. Do you feel because They are representing you. Well, not really you. They're representing the state, but you're the victim in the case. Does that give you any feeling that you have allegiance with them or anything like that?
No, I would hope that this would have no impact. I would assume so.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. I don't have any further questions.
Any follow-up? Thank you, ma'am.
So now that I'm watching it back again for the third time, I see really the only reason she wanted to answer in private was because she had a pending case, not necessarily because of what the case was about. Well, it just so happens that juror number 13 is on our panel. Again, if you want to watch this whole process, you can go back and watch it from this past Thursday, October the 16th. Let's fast forward to what they settled on at the end of jury selection.
Defense? 10 and 11 were previously struck by way of stipulation for cause. 12, defense. Any response?
No, sir.
Juror in seat 12, wearing badge 837, has been struck by virtue of the defense's second preemptory. 13, state.
Acceptable.
Defense? I believe that we have a panel. Our panel currently is jurors in seats 1, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 13.
So there you see, she ended up on the jury of 6. So if you're wondering, how do I know that she's actually on the jury and not an alternate? That is how. Because after this occurred, then they chose their alternates. Now, why does all of this matter? Why am I bringing this up? Okay. Think about this, everyone. If this woman is in fact a true victim of domestic violence, she's going to have that inside view. She's going to know what a true victim feels and goes through. And during jury deliberations, she'll be able to explain that only during deliberations, in mind. If she feels the need, she will be able to explain that to the other jurors. She might be able to call out things that maybe the other jurors missed. I.e., remember when Sarah did this on this? She's not scared. She's not afraid for her life. All the things that we've been calling out, things like Sarah's personality. She's not humble like Marsha Thompson. She's not afraid to call the police. She's not afraid to have him come back. All the things that don't add up in Sarah's claim that George was the aggressor in their relationship. So that is the reason I wanted to bring that up to you guys, because I think that if needed, we don't even know if it's needed at this point, but if needed, that is a good person to actually have on the jury. We weren't there, okay? All we have, you know how they say there's 3 sides to every story. There's his side, her side, and the truth. We don't have the truth because we only have Sarah's side of most things, and we have hearsay on George's side of things. So I'd like to think that this juror is going to help level things out. I don't see where she's really going to benefit the defense. I don't know why they kept her on there unless Sarah truly has her attorneys bamboozled. And that could be. I thought they had her read by now, but maybe not. Maybe they truly think she is a victim.